Okay, so for the most part, I don't even think this is something we're supposed to know about, but the beans were kind of spilt earlier this week. So, today we're talking about the NHL and a proposed Canada division. And when I say Canada division, you may be thinking, okay, what in the world is that? How is that going to work? Is that in plan? Who knows what's going to go on with that? But we had ourselves a little bit of a comment made by the Golden Knights owner, BIll Foley. And this caused quite the stir. So long story short, he was being interviewed on Vegas Hockey Hotline by Brian Blessing. And the question was asked, what do you think about facing off against Nate Schmidt, who is now a member of the Vancouver Canucks? You see why this is an important question, right? Because the Vegas Golden Knights pretty much essentially gave what was one of their best defenders over the past 3 years to a divisional rival to the Vancouver Canucks, a team that they would mostly play a lot because they're in the Pacific Division together, and furthermore, they're just coming off of a pretty heated playoff series. To which Bill Foley replied, yeah, but they're going to be in the Canadian Division. So, long story short, that kind of spoiled everybody as to what apparently the plan may be in place. So, obviously, we don't want to say anything is guaranteed. That's just one person in the league, albeit he's very high up in the league, noting that a Canadian division apparently is going to exist. So, how exactly is this going to work? Going off of what people are speculating on Reddit, on Twitter, etc., you could probably argue that a Canadian division featuring all 7 NHL teams could be seen as what we have in store for next season. Why? Here's why. First off, the whole travel ban thing between American and Canadian people, you've got yourselves the quarantine period for Americans coming into Canada. This makes it a little bit difficult for teams that are, let's say, in America, who are trying to do a Canadian road trip because, oh, you arrive in Canada, you guys need to do a 2-week quarantine or something. That whole thing is going to really slow down the process of the league, let's just say. So, we have ourselves some prepositions over here. This is from Paper Moonshine on Reddit. They posted what was a proposed schedule of what it looks like things could be if we had a Northern Division of Canada teams and we had an Eastern Division of the Metro teams, we have a Southern Division of the Florida teams and the Midwest teams, and then the rest of the teams over on the Western Division. So something like this could be what we have in store here for NHL teams that will only play against each other. And let's say that something like this does come to fruition. Everybody's been kind of saying the same thing immediately. Buffalo, you guys are even more screwed now than you were before. The only teams that Buffalo is going to be able to play, take a look at this: Pittsburgh, Philly, Washington, New Jersey, New York, and Boston. That is pretty bad. As for that Canadian division, though, I wanted to take some time and kind of speculate, give my own predictions out there as to what could happen if something like this is put into place. Because if you have all 7 Canadian teams only playing off against each other, the top 3 go into the playoffs, and then the next one in a wild card with one of the other divisions, we could be seeing a very interesting little season coming out of this. First and foremost, when it comes to the travel time, I've been seeing a lot of people propose, okay, instead of doing several road trips throughout the year, wouldn't it be more necessary to have a team like Vancouver only really do 1 or 2 road trips? Meaning, they'll go to Montreal, they'll play 2, 3, or 4 games, then they'll go to Ottawa, play 2, 3, or 4 games, go over to Toronto, play 2, 3, or 4 games, and then come back, etc. That'd be a very interesting way to get things done, and it's a way to actually get all the games played filled out for all these teams. But when it comes to a Canadian division like this, to me it's going to be very interesting just to see how things are going to shape up, because all of these teams virtually have improved some way or another. Starting off with Vancouver, honestly, you could say that they didn't really improve, but like, I still believe in this team. Like, at the very least, I know they'll probably take a step back from what happened last season, especially losing out onto Foley, Tanev, Markstrom, and Stetcher, but Nate Schmidt is a brand new defender that has a completely different style that not one of the Tanevs or the Stetchers of the past have had. He's a very interesting playstyle that I think will mesh very well with this Vancouver Canucks squad. You could very well say that Demko Holtby is a downgrade from Markstrom Demko, but at the same time, it's been a long time since we have seen Thatcher Demko have himself the reins to a team full-time in the regular season, and that to me, with the experience of a Braden Holtby behind him, can have the potential to actually improving the overall performance of a Thatcher Demko, as scary as that may sound. Plus, the fact that you have another year, PD, Hughes, Miller, etc., there is a reason to believe, in my opinion, that this team can still do something. Do I think that they were better last year on paper? Yes, but do I think they're completely out of it this year? No. Edmonton was a team that a lot of people said, okay, they were in the running for Markstrom. They were in the running for all these other good players. They eventually lucked out, though, with Tyson Barrie, who took a cheaper deal to go over to Edmonton, and we'll see how that pairing is going to be able to go down. As for the Calgary Flames, they're a team that improved with defense because they got Chris Tanev. They weren't able to re-sign TJ Brodie, but they got a nice shutdown guy in Tanev instead, and Jacob Markstrom is now probably the longest tenured goalie that they're going to be having since Mika Kiprusoff. He has been very good for the Vancouver Canucks, and now he is taking his talents over to Calgary. I don't want to undermine Jacob Markstrom, man. This guy can definitely do his part in winning the Calgary Flames a few extra games. He is probably the best goaltender this team has had in years, and we'll be seeing that pay itself off for 6 years going into the future. Next up, though, the Winnipeg Jets. They're a team that had a lot of controversy going around with Patrik Laine and whether or not he would actually be still on the team, whether he would get traded, leaving, all that stuff. But they got themselves a legit second-line center in Paul Stastny. Now, Stastny was indeed one of the players whom Patrik Laine was very good with before. That was 2 years ago. That was a strong pairing as well. So now they're going to have themselves what is hopefully a rejuvenated Patrik Laine, a really good second-line center here, and you know, you still have the great goaltending from Connor Hellebuck. You still have that blue line that hopefully is able to improve a little bit. They re-signed a few of their guys. Dylan DeMello is a nice guy coming back. Nathan Beaulieu is a guy as well. Lucas Spiza too. But other than that, they did get themselves Derek Forbort from free agency. Next up, though, Toronto. This is a team, and a lot of people were really questioning the Toronto Maple Leafs and their whole offseason plan. But Kyle Dubas has a vision in mind of what exactly it is the team he wants to build, and it looks like they've been doing themselves a job in terms of pulling that off. Acquisitions of grit. Wayne Simmons, Zach Bogosian, acquisitions of guys who actually can provide some good depth. Aaron Dell as a third goalie. You traded away Andreas Janssen for a nice guy and Anderson coming back. TJ Brodie on the blue line is definitely somebody that you're going to have benefits from, not to mention the acquisition of Jimmy Vesey, who has the potential of actually rejuvenating his career. So, Toronto has indeed made some moves to improve their roster up front. Next up, though, the Ottawa Senators, well, they actually did improve. They acquired Matt Murray, nice goalie over there. They acquired Eric Goodbranson. You can say what you want about Eric Goodbranson, I certainly will not. But they indeed are a team that will have the most benefits from the new guys coming in town like Tim Stützle. Who knows what's going to happen with some of their AHL defenders like Eric Bronstrom. Let's see if we see him in a full upcoming role next season. And they also got themselves Austin Watson over as well. So for the Sens, I don't really see them being the second worst team in the NHL next season, but again, though, if they're only playing Canadian teams, and that certainly will be a little bit of a challenge. Next up, though, Montreal. We all know what I think about Montreal. These guys are absolute winners. Tyler Toffoli, Brendan Gallagher, Edmondson, Anderson, all these very good contract acquisitions. You could debate that the Montreal Canadiens are the best team in Canada just based off of what they've done thus far. So, as a result, going forward into the predictions, I would honestly predict Montreal and Toronto to be number 1, number 2. As for that third spot, I honestly think Vancouver could be in there, but if it's not Vancouver, I'm saying Winnipeg or Calgary instead. If I had to pick a team to come in last, I would probably say Ottawa, and if I had to choose second last, you know, I'm sorry Edmonton, but I have to go with Edmonton. I know Tyson Barrie is a very good acquisition over there, but to me, the improvements of the other teams around them, like Calgary, like Winnipeg, etc., to me just kind of says that Edmonton is probably going to be the last one out there. I know the sentiment in the comments is probably going to be, yo, you're a Vancouver homer. How do you believe the Vancouver Canucks actually have a chance at being the third best team in Canada? Well, you know, Elias Pettersson, man. Pettersson, Hughes, Nate Schmidt, I think will bring a very interesting dynamic to this team. So I'm going to say that Montreal and Toronto are going to be 1 and 2, and then the next tier of teams, you can shuffle it up between Winnipeg, Vancouver, and Calgary. Then you have Edmonton, and then you have Ottawa. So that's kind of how I see the Canadian division shaping up if everything stays the way that it has going into 2020-2021. Comment down below in the comments what you think about the whole Canadian division and what you see things playing out as. Am I right? Am I wrong? Tell me in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.